Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up Show Chicago, sponsored by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. I am your host, MC Pearson, and we also have our illustrious president here, Mr. Larry Ivory, and I would be remiss if I did not mention my main man, Lord Mike. Fellas, what is going on?
BCC, we are the champions of change, advocating for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the world of corporate and government contracting. Hey, y'all know it's not just a show, it's a movement. Y'all ready for another dynamic journey? I know I am. President Ivy, are you ready for another dynamic journey?
Absolutely, Mike. Hey, welcome to the Wake Up Show, Chicago. I'm the president, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Call with us. I has already introduced him. He has started a. So, do what we're going to talk about today. We got a special guest that was requested by a number of people to bring him back on the show, and we're going to be engaging in some conversation that I think is relevant and should be relevant to the Black community as it relates to infrastructure. But let me just kind of set the tone.
As the tone gets set, and I know we're going to be touching on a lot of talk about infrastructure today. And I'm certainly we're going to wait for President Ivory to really build on that there. And I'm looking forward to Mr. Lee Coleman getting down. I got a couple of items that I want to touch on with Lee myself there. So I'm looking forward to that. President Ivory, you back in tune with us?
So I think one of the
Ma'am,
things that is
which
awesome about the
is
fact.
if
Go
you'd
ahead,
like to
go ahead,
comment
Prez.
about infrastructure, because infrastructure is a major uh,
So I think what Prez was alluding to was that infrastructure is a major part of government spending, and the fact that President Biden signed this 1.7 trillion dollar infrastructure bill. You know, and the thing about it is this bill is guiding where our taxpayers' dollars go to, and he's guided it into infrastructure, and that Illinois received over $1 billion of that money. Prayers, are you back with us? So Illinois received over $1 billion of that infrastructure money, and what is it, Lord Mike? We're talking about roads. We're talking about the
Yeah.
wear and tear on our automobiles on these roads. We're talking about new bridges. What all are we looking at with infrastructure in the state of Illinois?
I mean, it's a litany of things. I see you with us, President.
that we
And when they say, as you was kind of saying, speaking to MC, how they utilize our tax dollars to create this big bill and this big initiative there, and that's our real endpoint. We're talking about our tax dollars, and that's gives us the space there to even play in that space. And I don't want to steal anybody's thunder there, but so let me just kind of just pivot a little bit real quick here and introduce our special guest because I'm kind of chomping at the bit to chat with Lee because we always have great conversation whenever we get
Absolutely.
the magnanimous Lee Coleman on with us there. Lee, how you feeling, brother? Peace and blessings this morning, man. And I know that we there's a number of pieces that you're going to build on us with today. And last week you set the airwaves on fire, quite frankly, just with laying out some information that a lot of people aren't privy to. Some are, a lot of people aren't, and they don't understand, really how the magnitude of a lot of these things here. So I know we're going to be coming up on a break here in a couple of minutes, so I don't want to I'll send you down too far down a rabbit hole. But if you could go ahead and give the people a brief introduction of who Lee Coleman is.
Give me an appetizer.
Uh, well, Lee Coleman is a 72-year-old black man born and raised in East St. Louis, Illinois.
Peace on that.
Yeah, attended East St. Louis Senior High School, went to the University of Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
uh, walked on their basketball team.
Walked over. What's that mean? You walked on.
That means that they only had 4 scholarship players, and they needed 8 more to round out the team for 12. And they
Uh-huh.
held a tryout for to get the other 8. And there was about 89 people vying for 8 spots. So Lee Coleman went out there and kicked butt and made the team.
So it had nothing to do because you was a good looking young player. This was because you actually was popping shots on.
Well, I tell you, you're talking about Big Ten basketball. It's totally different from high school basketball. It's a rough and tumble game, and Illinois didn't have that many blacks. So I was the only black to make it out of the 89. And the 8
Mm-hmm.
that they took, I was the smallest at 6'1", 165, and the only black that made the team. But I did something very significant. About 53 years before Kaepernick, at least 51 years, when the varsity played, the freshmen were required to sit behind the varsity and watch the game on a little platform.
Mm.
And so my mother had informed me that the national anthem wasn't for a black person, especially the second stanza, which advocates the killing of black men who dare to fight for their freedom with Canada in the War of 1812. So I wouldn't stand up for the national anthem. And Kaepernick, I beat you by about 51 years.
Mother Coleman put you on square with that one, did she?
And she told me the truth. My mother was, she died when she was only 36. And shucks,
Peace.
man, that was my rock. I was a mama's boy. And she told me that I was going to college before I ever even knew what the word college meant. So she was my rock. And she gave me enough food so that even when she passed when I was only 15, it was enough to sustain me until now, the age of 71 and be 72 in about 3 months. But anyway, I graduated from Illinois after they told me, here we go again with discrimination. They told me, they said, based on your entrance exam scores, you will not be able to graduate from the University of Illinois in 4 years, and you will not make above a D in any class that you take on this campus. My mother taught me differently, so I told them if that was mandatory, that they had suggested that I go to, what do you want to call it, lower type class, or what do you want to call it, special
Remedial.
classes.
Uh-huh.
I told them, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take the same classes that I, signed up for that semester, and I walked out of the meetings. 2 white men and a white lady. Sarah Miles was my academic advisor. I'd never forget her. They were going to put me in remedial classes at the University of Illinois.
And you
A
wouldn't
black
have
man
one.
with an African brain. So
Yeah.
what I did,
Well,
you can't measure.
before you go too much deeper, Lee, I can hear the tunes behind us there, so I know we got to be getting ready to go to break. We're gonna come right back with you,
Okay,
brother. We're gonna dive
okay,
back into it, and we're
okay.
gonna have some real talk, man.
Yes,
You're on
sir.
the Wake Up
Bring it.
Show.
Bring it. Come on.
Welcome to the future of energy. Mark your calendars for February
Hey, can
29,
you guys hear me at all?
2024 for the
Yes.
Clean Energy Business Summit at Malcolm X College in Chicago. Discover why the summit is a must-attend event.
Hey,
Immerse yourself in cutting
Ladonna,
edge
am I pretty
research
fluid
for
or
an
am I
AI
choppy?
application in clean energy
Okay.
technology. Join
Yeah.
strategic
We're,
workshops tailored for the utility industry.
no, we're
And
we're
focus
we're
on
on the same Wi-Fi, so I don't know either. What
creative
about Lee? Is he pretty
decision-making
fluid or is he
more
choppy?
than a conference. It's a hub for matchmaking and forging
Okay.
powerful connections. Don't
Okay,
miss
gotcha.
out on this transformative day happening on February 29,
Yeah. I
2024
don't know.
from 9 a.m. to
Perhaps
5
it could be his
p.m. at
iPad. I don't
Malcolm X
know.
College, 1900 West Jackson Boulevard in
Yeah,
Chicago.
that may be. We could, but
By the Minority Business Development Agency
it'll
Business
sound better if he's on his or where he
Commerce
on
and
now.
Strategic Exceptions Professional Consultant. Ready to be part of the transition to
Hmm.
renewables by
Yeah,
2050?
but we.
Register now on Eventbrite. Search for Clean Energy Business Summit 2024. Join us at the forefront of the clean energy
You
revolution. The
going out in
future
on the phone too?
and it's green. Clean Energy Business Summit
I
2024.
just heard him a second
Powering
ago.
tomorrow today.
Yeah, I just heard him a moment ago.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Show Chicago on WVON. Listen, we have a special guest, Mr. Lee Coleman, who people text us and call us and ask them to bring him back this week. And so if you do have any questions, we ask that you participate in the show on today by dialing 773-591-1690. And we encourage you to share this show. You can go to YouTube or Facebook, find us at the Wake Up Show Chicago, and go ahead and share it because you stingy if you're not going to share this great information. Come on,
Absolutely.
Prez, where you at?
Hey, Mike, this MC, glad to have Mr. Coleman on the call. Let me just say this real quick because we got a lot of content to carry, and Lee has an incredible history. He happens to be our Southern Regional VP for the Black Chamber of Commerce and runs the St. Clair Black Chamber of Commerce also. And Lee has a distinct history in terms of, we're going to get a little more of his history, but I know how quickly this time goes. So we're going to get a little bit more Lee history, hit the high points. Then we're going to dive into this infrastructure because we spend billions of dollars a year and we help fund the infrastructure. And we got to figure out how well we're doing and then what we're going to do different to make sure that our people participate where we help create the opportunity. So passing the ball back to Lee. Lee, take us through a quick journey in terms of Lee Coleman.
Okay. Well, anyway, after they told me that I couldn't, participate in classes and be efficient, um, I had a 4.5 for 4 straight semesters. I want all the people out there to understand one thing. When you take these SAT and ACT tests, those are knowledge based tests. They can't measure your intelligence. Knowledge and intelligence are two entirely different things. So Benet in France said, since you can't discriminate against blacks because of skin color, let's test them. And one example was there was a girl named, they asked you what color was a ruby in one of the questions. And the black kid said, Ruby lives down the street, but a ruby is red. So that's how they got us. But we're very intelligent. We can do anything if we given an opportunity. But that's enough about me, Larry. I want to get into some of the stuff that we want to talk about. And I heard somebody say the infrastructure amount for Chicago was $1 billion. Well, that money is sent to you guys over a period of years, and I'm sure it's more than $1 billion. We've got $2.8 billion
That
in my area for the next 4 years. So I know you guys got way more than that because I'm in the second largest district. You're in the first largest district. So
looks
you
like
got
one
a lot more than what you think you have coming in.
looks like 1.7 trillion overall. And if I could, Lee, because I think it's really relevant. I'll just run through real quick here. What gives you the footing to be able to be a subject matter expert on this here? You come from a long line of success in government management. As a former city manager of East St. Louis, a labor relations officer for the East St. Louis School District 189. You're a contract specialist. You were with the Metro Transportation. You were a Metro Transportation Compliance Officer, of course, a downstate campaign manager for the Barack Obama campaign. So, you're no stranger to government, and you're a compliance consultant and a principal of Colivory LLC. I don't want to butcher the name there,
Cole
So
Ivory.
Cole Ivory, okay. But I just want to just kind of hit that real quick because you have a lot of standing, which makes you a true subject matter expert in this here, as well as you're a former 15-year veteran of IDOT as an EEO officer.
Well, nothing could have prepared me more to gain knowledge than being an EEO officer at IDOT. Now, here's what they did. They hired me because of I went in for an interview. They call it a routine interview, and that's a very difficult interview. And I want my people to understand when you go apply for a job at IDOT, the question that you're going to be asked is going to be asked as though you were an employee and you understand the nomenclature of IDOT functions, which you might not know. So they gave me this routine interview. I butchered it, but some people in politics said, we're going to make sure that Lee Coleman gets in there. And that's how it happened. Otherwise, I would have never been EEO officer based on the question they asked me as though I was already an EEO officer. But anyway, I got in, and so I'm ready for my training. No one would train me. So I went to the most senior EEO officer in the state, which was Pam Simon. I asked her, I said, well, please give me some training. Nope. I went to Frank McNeil, who was the OBWD director. Same thing. So fortunately for me, I had a 27-year veteran in my office, Rita Schmidt.
Mm.
She was reluctant to give me that information, but I devised a way to ease it out of her. And she was the one that really inadvertently trained me and my staff to understand these things. And once she got me the basics, then I went out on my own and I picked up some things on my own. But the 15 years, I think at IDOT prepared me to be a person who could speak about these things in truth and with knowledge, as opposed to,
Yeah.
I always tell people there's implicit rules and regulations, there's explicit rules and regulations. A lot of organizations work on implicity. Implicit is just what everybody implies are the rules and regulations. But
Hmm.
explicit rules and regulations are those that are printed in certain publications that are, I consider to be the Bible for what we're talking about today. And that's the CFR and the special provisions, reoccurring, uh, uh, supplemental specifications and reoccurring special provisions. Those are the Bibles for IDOT in terms of how they're supposed to operate. And they basically operate from Title VI and the Executive Order 11246.
Hmm.
You have five check sheets in this booklet, and they pertain directly to how the EEO officer is supposed to perform his or her job. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's not subjective, it's objective. So we know what we're supposed to do. So if I were you guys in Chicago, the first thing I would do, I would have a meeting with the EEO officer. That would be the first thing that I would do. There's only 9 in the state of Illinois
Hmm.
because there's 9 districts. I would have a conversation with that person and I would ask them if they were following the procedure to set goals on projects. Okay, when I first worked at IDOT, they have an estimating engineer who has a $25,000 estimating software. And I would go to meetings when I didn't know anything, and I would hear them talk about the contract. The contract comes in numbers. In my area, they start out with 7.6, 7.6, 7.6, whatever. I think Chicago is 9.6. But anyway, I would hear them say, well, we're going to set a goal on project 7.6, for example, of 3%. And they just went on about that. And when I'm in a room with engineers and an estimating engineer and a couple of my staff members because I'm trying to pick up on what's going on. And so after the meeting was over, I asked my 2 staff members, how did they arrive at those goals? And they played dumb. But anyway, I found out what it was. There are things called pay items. Pay items are the scope of work that are on a particular contract. Now, an aspirational goal is not a set goal. There's no such thing as a reoccurring 15% or 10%. That's not how it works. It works on the DBE pool that you would have, their varying certification criteria, whatever they were certified in, and what was on this particular contract. Some contracts you're going to have a zero goal because you don't have DBEs who can participate. Like Will, had some contracts on preparing and repairing wells, underground water wells. Well, nobody
Hmm.
black or female were into those things, but there are a lot like trucking, miscellaneous concrete, guardrail, operating engineering, things of that nature. In trucking, of course, 65% of DBEs are truckers,
Hmm.
and 65 to 7% of African American DBEs are truckers. You need a truck that's operable, that's insured, and you must have total access to that truck. One truck can get you in. So most blacks are in the trucking. But anyway, so I looked at how they were setting the goals, and I would call the estimating engineer. I said, hey, I need a copy of those pay items in order for me to set a proper goal. And he said, that's proprietary. I
Mm.
said, I tell you what, since I'm in charge, I found out that I'm in charge of the goal setting meeting. If I don't get that information, there will not be another one that I will attend.
Wow.
So I forced them to send me a copy of the pay items. Now I can look at the pay items and say, hey, there's some trucking on there. There's some miscellaneous concrete and those kinds of things. So now I can set a proper goal. And That's how I arrived at setting my goals. And Paul Serpa actually took my procedure and implemented it throughout the state of Illinois that everyone should have to follow in order to set goals. Now, they
So,
never had a problem
Coleman,
with me. Go ahead.
let me just interrupt you for just for a moment. So you're saying that you're fundamentally self-taught, and they did not make it easy for you to do the job that you were hired to do, and you had to self teach yourself. You had to do all the things that you've done to be considered one of the. Look, you've got a couple of awards, I think, at IDOT, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
in terms of the way that you did things, and you did some extraordinary things. So, it's really kind of important, I think, for our audience to understand that, even when you're qualified and you win the job, that there are people who don't want you to do the job. And because you can't do the job and because you do care about the people you represent, if you didn't know, you couldn't protect the people or do your job in the most efficient way. Um, and that goes without saying, correct?
Yeah, there's a subliminal message at IDOT. In fact, when I got hired, my director at OBWD told me to stay out of the way of the contractors and the unions. That's what I
Mm,
was told. I
mm.
feel like hell. That's who I'm supposed to deal with. Those are the culprits. But anyway, so yeah, subliminally, there's an unwritten rule that you're supposed to pick up on that you set low goals and you give high evaluation to those contractors for their performances, whether they met their goals or not.
Wow.
But Sarah
That's
Coleman taught me differently. So
that,
I
that
stood on the
just
shoulders of some. If Harry Tubman can lead people through the swamps with a shotgun, I can certainly, without the threat of death, follow the CFR and the special reoccurring provisions on check sheet 1 through 5 to do my job, 11 246 and 1273.
that
I
is
did that. And,
that is
and
that is a screaming, resounding message on intentionality right there, man, Mr. Lee Coleman. Hey, we're coming up against another break here, so we got to go and take care of that. But man, we're going to come right back with the 15-year veteran EEO officer of the Illinois Department of Transportation District 8 division there. And we're going to get more insight, man, about what's really what and what we really need to be doing to turn the tide here. You know where you're at, right? It's the Wake Up Show. Let's go.
Attention, all entrepreneurs and business owners. Tune into the Wake Up Show Chicago on YouTube for expert insights, valuable resources, and inspiration to grow your Black owned business. Go to YouTube and search for at Wake Up Show
Done.
Chicago and hit subscribe and the notification bell to subscribe to the Wake Up Show Chicago for behind the scenes and in studio action. Don't miss a single episode. Engage with us in real time. Comment live on YouTube and connect with like minded entrepreneurs. Hosted by Larry D. Ivory, Buddy Love, and MC Pearson. The Wake Up Show Chicago empowers Black owned businesses powered by Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. Subscribe, engage, and elevate your business journey today.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Show
Are
591.
you ready to boost your brand's visibility and share your message with our engaged audience? You can. Become a sponsor of the Wake Up Show Chicago and get your brand in the spotlight. Our show reaches a diverse, dynamic, and dedicated audience. Connect with us to learn more about sponsorship opportunities. Call 309-740-4430 today and let's elevate your brand together. Don't miss out on this chance to make an impact. Call 309-740-4430 now.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Show Chicago on WVON. If you want to participate, you can call in at 773-591-1690. And to go back to what Lee Coleman was alluding to, the state of Illinois, out of the $1.7 trillion infrastructure bill that President Biden signed, Illinois is actually set to get $17 billion
mhm.
over the course of the next few years. So, yes, it is a lot more than $1 million. What you think about that, President?
Hey, that's real numbers, man. And I think it's important. And the reason we're having this conversation is that the government spends a lot of money on infrastructure. You need infrastructure to move goods and services freely throughout
the system. And we help contribute to that by, because the government just doesn't make money out of thin air. Sometimes people think they do. They tax people. And how they get this money is through a motor fuel tax, which means that if you're putting gas in your car, you're helping to fund infrastructure. And on top of that, the state of Illinois passed a referendum that added a 22-cent increase in order to fund infrastructure, which I thought was good. But I need our people to understand that every time you put gas in your car, you fund the infrastructure. So getting back to Mr. Coleman and Lee, because time goes by so fast. What I want to ask you is this, and you got so much knowledge, and there's so many things for us to deal with and fight for on the national and state level. When we take a look at how do we improve Black participation in Department of Transportation contracting, as well as workforce, give me from your perspective and walk us through, because you got a lot of knowledge, and sometimes we talk about CFR and Title VI. Take some time to walk us through one or two things. I know we're not going to get to all of it. One or two things you think that we need to consider in order to improve Black participation of contracting with the Illinois Department of Transportation and across the country from your perspective.
Okay, only 3% of contracts and people who work internally at the transportation department throughout this country are Black. Only 3%. But here's the thing that's important: the Secretary of Transportation.
Can I stop you for a second? You said only 3%.
3%
of the people.
Last I looked, a couple of years ago, 3% of contracts are let to Black people, and less than 3% or 3% are internally employed at IDOT nationally. Take a look at that and fact check that. But I'm going to name about 3 or 4 people that you guys got to be engaged with and armed with the right information. That's the Secretary of Transportation. That's your EEO officer. That's the union and the contractors. And I might add to the Department of Labor, the United States Department of Labor, federally, not the state. You got to be engaged. Now, here's the thing. When you go to the firing range, a headshot and a shot in lower torso are not good shots. Center mass are the best shots, right? So when you get scored lower for the headshot and the lower mass shot. So it's centered in a cluster. I used to be an auxiliary police officer here in East St. Louis. So when we went to the firing range, we were taught to get our sights lined up and shoot for that center mass. Same thing with bids. Okay, when the Black contractor, because we have to have some Black DBE contractors who get victories with market rate bids that include their internal costs plus a profit. Okay, so here's what happens. It's called bid shopping. The white contractor, first of all, let's make sure the EEO officer sets a good goal. Okay, and he must include trucking, which they told him not to include trucking. That's BS. A trucker is certified by the same process that any other certified DBE is certified by. So why would you tell them, we were trained not to use trucking to help set our goals? That's ridiculous. That's discriminating against the biggest class of DBEs you have. But anyway, in that cluster, okay, we must talk to our legislators to say this, to do this for us. Like I did when I was the purchasing director for East St. Louis. Any bids a certain percentage below or above the engineer's estimate cannot be counted as a responsible bid. So you look at that cluster. In that cluster, there should be some good bids ranging from 2 to maybe 5% differences. But what the prime contractor would do, he'll say, okay, Mr. Ivory, Lord Mike bid it $45,000 on this job. Can you do it for 33? And if you do it for 33, you don't have a profit in there. And plus, now you're sharecropping. You're working for nothing. In fact, you might be working paying him, okay, the prime. So we got to find a way to stop that prime from telling you, I'll give it to you, which is illegal federally, that I'll give you that bid if you go below. Now, if that bid is below the engineer's estimate or above it, that prime contractor must give that DBE the subcontract that's in that cluster. That is so dang important. If you don't do that, because he got a job, I got $1 million contract. Well, really, it was 1.5 million. Okay, that's first. That's one thing we got to do. Then we got to make sure that the EEO officer reports to someone other than his district implementation engineer, who knows nothing about DBE uh, uh, programs. And you must hold your DBE liaison or your EEO officer feet to the fire to say, okay, out of all the contracts you evaluated in December, how many of them met their goals, workforce goals? How many met their workforce goals? You mean to tell me everybody met it when we don't have a requisite number of black people in the workforce pool and the unions? So how can they meet it? Okay, if they say they met it, they couldn't meet it because of the union. Do you know that the fourth article in the 11-246 executive order, affirmative action steps, says that if a prime, listen to this, if a prime contractor, this is law, if a prime contractor says that the union is the reason why he can't meet his workforce goals, then that contractor shall report immediately to the deputy director of the Department of Labor.
Hmm.
Mm.
You shall do that. That's in writing. So what I did as EO officer, I failed a bunch of them. My implementation director changed my scores to make those guys make their goals.
That's not right.
But check this out.
No.
He changed the score.
Let's bring in the caller. We actually got a call on the line. Tom, why don't you come on and wake us up this morning? What you got, sir?
Let me say this, gentlemen. First of all, welcome to WVON. And you know what the sad part about all of this is? How long WVON has been pumping out the information to the black community with individuals like yourself, putting out this pertinent information, telling individuals, man, that now is a moment in a time to stand up and go and do what we need to do in our community. If we do not accept the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, which doesn't cost you anything but has cost us everything, this is a moment in a time to hear. I hope and pray that people will listen to your show. And as far as I'm concerned, watch this as I close. I guess maybe y'all ain't paying attention that Brandon Johnson, the same person that all of us are turning against, told Priska, hey, Doc, since you want, I have met my commitment. Now, guess what? The state has got plenty of property to put them sanctuary settlers or border. I need Mama D to tell you all that part of it. But watch this. The bottom line of it is now is the time to get behind Brandon Johnson and put pressure on him and tell him enough is enough. We are black. Hey, I end with this. Tell me what country I can go to and press 1 for English. I'm in America, the greatest place on earth, and I end with this. Even Jiminy Cricket said, if you worship on a star, it doesn't matter who you are. If you believe dreams come true, come on, man. Our ancestors didn't die for us to sit around here like this and have this information all these years, and now we're sitting up here in a gold mine. Goodbye.
That's right.
You know what?
Fired up.
I'm a
Fired up.
him. Listen, you want to get involved, you need to visit ilbcc.org. You need to get with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce and find out how to get engaged in what's going on. Come on.
And we need you to drop at the Wake Up Show Chicago into your browser and join us on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and let me just say this because I'm going to pass it back to Lee because I want Lee to respond to what the caller said. It's so important, everyone, that we understand that we're here to improve Black participation. We bring experts on like Mr. Coleman, who knows it. And Lee, what I would recommend that we consider doing, that you and I, with our construction team, who's focused on horizontal construction, that we meet with the Secretary of Transportation and we meet with every EEO officer and we put that on our agenda. And contractors should help make sure that we have the resources it takes so that we can do the things we need to do to protect their interests. Lee, you want to respond to the call? Let's take some more calls. I know there's still not enough time. So Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with the guy. You know, if Harriet Tubman, who weighed 98 pounds, who was injured by a white slave master throwing a metal object and hitting her in the head, and she had dizzy spells and fainting spells. If that little black woman, 98 pounds, led those, every time I passed by an area where there's a lot of trees and swamp-like landscape. I said, "There go Harriet," and she did it at the possibility of death. And here we are, afraid to do these EO officers. I don't want to meet with the EO officers in one group. I think they should be individually met with and
Absolutely, absolutely.
and meet with that secretary. You know what the secretary told somebody the other day? Do you know we've got a program that me and Senator Claiborne put into action? It's called the Highway Construction Prep Program. And when I left, I had trained over 600, and they were in preparation to be admitted into an apprenticeship program. Those are the only people that can work as a labor or any kind of workforce classification. They have to be in an approved apprenticeship program. So we trained 600 before I left. Now I know it's up to over 1,000. And do you know that the union still don't have a requisite number of black people in their apprenticeship programs? So if that's the case, then how in the hell does your EE officer sit there during evaluation time and say, "Oh, contractor XYZ, you met your goal. You get an 8." They go from 8 to 2, 2 being a failing grade. And he's get a 6 or an 8. How does he get satisfactory grades when he didn't meet his goal of 6.9 and the demographically driven goal for minorities? In my area, 14.7. In Chicago, is 19.7. Now, check this out. When that contractor does not meet his goal and you give him a failing grade, then his pre-qual number, the number by which he's able to do business at the dollar value, maybe 100 million, that number goes down dramatically. Now, ask your EEO officers how many of them failed a contractor. If they didn't fail them, you know damn well that they're taking a dive, because there's no way they can meet their goal without submitting a very, very well documented reason for not meeting their goal. They say, "I gave a good faith effort." They don't even give you that. They don't even give a doggone. They'll say, "Oh, I'm not going to justify me not making the goal." And these skittish EEO officers, which a lot of them are white now, they'll say, "Okay, we'll just pass you," because that's what they want us to do. We got to turn this thing over. We got the law, rules and regulations on our side. Do you know that the EEO officer actually work for federal highways? They're not state employees. We get paid by the Federal Highway Administration. We're governed by federal laws to do our job. And we need to move some of these guys out of these positions and girls who are sitting there taking a dive. And the most pertinent question is, how many contractors have you failed for not meeting their goals on the workforce side? And here's another thing they want us to do. When you put together your DBE goal, say it's 14, 15%, they actually want you to take out 3.8% for race neutral. I never did that because there's no such thing as race neutral. Everything is predicated on race, whether we
Hey,
want to admit that or not.
there's the music right there, Lee, and we cannot let you escape on that point there. So you know what? We're up against the break, and we're going to come right back here. We're going to drop you right back in where
Yes,
you
sir.
were. You're get parachute right back in and take us to the mat with it, man. Because I feel like I'm in a sequel of Rocky right now. They're taking dives, and they ducking the blows here. So we got to make sure we handle it. Remember, tune in with us at the Wake Up Show Chicago. Join us on YouTube, and we're going to be right back, take a caller, and get back with Mr. Lee Coleman. All right? You know where you at, right? It's the Wake Up Show. Let's go.
Welcome to the future of energy. Mark your calendars for February 29, 2024 for the Clean Energy Business Summit at Malcolm X College in Chicago. Discover why the summit is a must-attend event. Immerse yourself in cutting-edge insights exploring AI application in clean energy technology. Join strategic workshops tailored for the utility industry. Engage in focused networking opportunities and innovative discussions. This is more than a conference. It's a hub for matchmaking and forging powerful connections. Don't miss out on this transformative day happening on February 29, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Malcolm X College, 1900 West Jackson Boulevard in Chicago, Illinois. Proudly sponsored by the Minority Business Development Agency Business Center, U.S. Department of Commerce, and Strategic Exceptions Professional Consulting. Ready to be part of the transition to renewables by 2050? Register now on Eventbrite. Search for Clean Energy Business Summit 2024. Join us at the forefront of the clean energy revolution. The future is here and it's green. Clean Energy Business Summit 2024, powering tomorrow today.
Welcome back to the Wake Up Show, where the power of change meets the pulse of progress, powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. Hope you got your pencils sharpened because we're laying it down today. Mr. Lee Coleman, 15-year veteran EEO officer for the Illinois Department of Transportation, District 8. We're going to take a caller real quick because we got a long-time loyal listener on the line right now. So we will definitely want to hear what she's got to say. And then we're going to jump right back in with Lee Coleman. Princess, are you with me?
Buddy. Yeah, I was on my way out the door and I had the radio station on. And I'm telling you, it's not like I was woke. But when Tommy came on that radio station, he woke me all the way up. And I hope everybody else felt that too. I second his emotion.
All right.
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying? I hope he repeats it again, because sometimes some of us, we have to constantly hear the truth over and over again until it sinks into our cells in our brain. Our ancestors laid the foundation for us. What are we waiting for? And Harriet Tubman was led by the Holy Ghost when she freed all those slaves. Look at the movie, especially the end part, when the bounty hunter couldn't even kill her.
It's a great movie.
He jumped on that train and he found her and told her, I'm going to tell him I never did see you. I rest my case, and you men are doing a great job on a Saturday morning.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you all.
Peace and blessings. Thank you so much. Lee Coleman, you were hitting us off with this degree of intentionality against us and how we have to be that much more vigilant and intentional for us. Pick it back up.
Go to that EEO officer in your district. He should have, or she, there should be a resource center. And in a resource center, DBEs and prospective workforce candidates can go there and use their staff, use their computer, and get specifications and plans. Okay, that's what the resource center is for. Every district has one, and make sure that let's look at the EEO records, EEO officer's record. How many have you failed, man, or she? How many have you failed? And when you fail that guy, I took one from 113 million down to 13 million. Okay, so you know the hound dog was after me for that.
I'm going to stop you, but when you did that, people do not understand that there were challenges that you had as an EE officer to do your job because you were doing your job, and they did not make it easy for you.
That's a great point.
Absolutely. Look, like I said, when you get that job, subliminally and maybe overtly, they're going to tell you, hey, man, take a dive. Hey, woman, take a dive. Don't get involved with the unions and so forth and so on. Hey, we took them on. I took them on. And I had Senator Claiborne to help me. He passed, at least he developed Senate Bill 263. Larry, we really need to revisit that bill. Senate Bill 263, it needs to be taken back up because it protected me. It said that if you change an EEO officer score, a federal employee, that's a class 4 felony. They like to have a heart attack behind that.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of other provisions in that bill. It didn't make it. And that's what we need to do. We need the legislation to make sure that those grouped bids are valid and those outside the targeted cluster do not count. You can't give a DBE a contract for an amount that you know doggone well he can't do because your pencil is sharp, contractor. Your pencil is real sharp. You know what you can do. And know what they do? They'll say, for instance, like Larry Ivory, we're going to give you $35 for trucking. They're charging the state $250 for trucking. They're making money off your low dollar. And you're not even getting the dollar that you deserve to keep your insurance on your truck, to keep the maintenance on it, the depreciation, and pay your driver. But you call yourself a trucker and you're just taking a job. You don't just take a job just to take a job.
Yeah. And that's why I say, too, Lee, is that truckers need to be involved and engaged with the chamber because you fought to make sure that truckers got treated, and we did it when we did it in Illinois when they were doing the I-74 expansion, and we got over $1 million trucking contract for one black trucker and we put all the black truckers to work. But truckers, like you said, they don't make it a pay item, and it's a real game. We have to have knowledge and abide by the law. And
But
Lee said,
but it is a pay item. We've got to make the DBE EO officer count it as a pay item. It is a pay item.
Right.
Trucking is what they call incidental to every pay item. You're going to always move something in. You're going to always move something out. You can't do a job without trucking. It is most important, one of the most important disciplines on jobs. So yeah, we need to talk to our EO officers. And I want to tell the audience this. Larry Ivory is my president. I move and shake with Larry.
Real talk.
What I got here in terms of knowledge and experience is at Larry's disposal. So whenever Larry have me to come or go anywhere, or we work with a group to get it done, I'm going to be there. Okay. So I'm not going to just be on this microphone talking. I'm going to be with Larry when he goes. If he invites me, when we go see the secretary, I dare that little Somali.
Take it easy.
Okay. Well, this is me talking. This is not the chamber talking. This is me. I helped get him in that position. We got to quit playing tiddlywink with these guys. You know what he said? He said, okay, that training program is designed to train blacks for IDOT construction projects.
Mm-hmm.
He said the other day to a person whom will remain nameless, oh, it's okay if you get a job at Walmart. We train him for 6 weeks. We giving him as much money as a person that's a law student candidate at Yale will get in 1 year. That's how much we're paying. And it's okay if you work at Walmart. It's okay if you drive the forklift somewhere. It's okay if you work at Menards. No, he should be on a construction site in a trade union.
Absolutely.
We got to quit playing tiddlywink with these guys. I tell you what, the only thing they understand, and I've told Larry this before, if they hit you, hit them back, and you cut a hole in their pocket and get to that wallet.
Mm.
They don't have the capability of understanding anything other than those two things because they gave us, I might be going off the script a little bit, they gave us religion, and they don't even believe in it.
Uh-oh. Hey, now tell me you don't feel like you're in a prize fight right now, listeners. Okay, I made the allusion to Rocky, the new episode there. Hey, y'all remember when he was fighting Drago and Drago wanted to crumble because he was hitting him with them body shots? What'd he do? He stood him right back up and he kept on hitting him. And it sounds to me like that's exactly what we need to be doing. Don't stop hitting them until they fall to the ground. And
guess what, Mike? Lord Mike, we got the law on our side. Title VI says you can't discriminate when you collect dollars for purposes of taking care of your community. And you can't discriminate when you issue those dollars back out in the contracts, okay?
Yeah.
The CFR provides for federally aided contract must be dealt with in a fair fashion. We got all this on our side. Mm-hmm. So all we need to do is know what the rules are, take those people with us when we go meet with people like, Omar Osmond. I have no respect for this man. I mean, this is me talking. This is not Larry Ivory. I get tired of seeing Larry Ivory beat his head up against the wall, work his butt off, run his shoes over, trying to deal with these people. Mm-hmm. He's been doing it I've been knowing Larry for 20 odd years. And he's been committed. That's why I deal with Larry. He's committed. Mm-hmm. So, Larry, we're going to have to do what we have to do. And I'm with you, brother. I know where the bodies are buried.
Hey, and you say what you just said, Lee. Let me just reiterate real quick. We have the law on our side. A lot of us don't really know and don't really trust that to be the truth. And I know as a leader of our local Peoria Black Chamber of Commerce, I know I'm going to be working with you in lock, stock, and barrel right next to you, Lee, and taking toolage from you, man, on how to deal with our situation here in District 4, because you know where the bodies is buried and you know the real truth. President Ivory.
And let me say this here. We don't need a lawyer to go after them from a legal perspective. There are some things online we can do that we can do with the Department of Labor and with the Illinois Department of Transportation when it comes to deficiencies. And we need to get more people Rutan certified to interview. We need to get more because there's a few blacks on those panels. I was certified Rutan to certify. I was on maybe 1 or 2 interview panels in about 5 years.
Yep. Hey guys, let me say this. And one of our great challenges is that, like Lee said, we got a lot of things on our side we're not utilizing. Our goal and our objective is to improve Black wealth and black position. If we don't stand up and fight like Harry Tubman and get down and dirty and stop being afraid because the law is on our side, then shame on us. Our mothers and our parents fought for us to get here, and it's our job to continue to fight. It doesn't mean anything other than the fact that our monies help create the opportunity, and it's our job to make sure we move forward. Now, we also have, real quick, we have on February the 8th, we're going to be in Beverly, in the Beverly community. On February the 8th, for our networking session, we're going to have Wind Creek. We're also going to have the Capital Development Board. Will be there also. So join us in participating in that. Let me just say again, shout out to Lee Coleman. Lee, we're going to have you back on the air. But more importantly, guys, the chamber is going to be really focused on not just the great conversation, but sitting down and getting results. We serve Black business, and it is our pleasure to serve Black business owners. But we wanted to fight for the things we want. We're under attack in so many different ways. And if we don't stand up and get engaged and get involved, if you're sitting on the sidelines
Yes.
and you're just doing nothing, then one day when they come at you and you need some help, we won't be around to help you. We're here for the right reasons. I believe this makes America better, not worse. For us to participate where our dollars help create the opportunity. Lee, I'm going to give you kind of a last comment. What's the last thing that you would want to share with the audience? Because I know we're right at our closing time and it went by so fast again.
I like to say this, all of the things that we've gained in terms of civil rights, and they all came because we got engaged. Now, when they integrated us, Martin Luther King, I love him to death, but he led us down the wrong path. Integration we destroyed our Negro Baseball League. We destroyed our own community. We boycotted our own businesses. We're going to have to get back to what Malcolm was talking about. We've got to do for our own. We've got to get out there and shake the bushes again because we've got complacent. And we're Democrats. And yeah, they're all Democrats. We vote democratically. And why are a lot of blacks turning against Biden right now? We're not getting what we need out of this whole pie. And I said, let's stand up and let's re-energize and restart the civil rights movement that got us Title VI, Executive Order 1142 and 1273. Let's go back and put a period at the end of that thing because it's just floating out there in the space and we're not utilizing it because we're not getting busy.
Come on.
This is a wake-up show. Wake-up show Chicago.
That's right. Brought to you by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, where the power of diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility comes alive. So stay woke.
We want to thank you for listening. We want you to go on the Facebook and on the YouTube and share the Wake Up Show Chicago because this is the information that our people need to hear. Thank you. Be blessed.
Peace.
For the $550 million civil lawsuit will take place in 1 year, January 2025. But the criminal trial's coming this year. The federal trial is in May, and the state trial for